If I were allowed to leave one message, and one message only, for the left-leaning liberals of America, it would go a little something like this. I would start with the futile reminder that the nature of being brainwashed is that you don't know when it's happening to you. You think everyone else is out to get you, and that you're the only one that's right, and everyone else is wrong. But the only people that you can trust are those who are brainwashing you. It takes a tremendous deal of strength and courage and free will and open-mindedness to finally admit to oneself that maybe all this time I was wrong and maybe all of them were right. I think it's near impossible for most people to break free, but that's why I make these little videos, in the hopes that someone like you can see something like this and maybe it can get the ball rolling to finally setting you free. Right now, it's time for you to finally open your eyes. Finally see what's going on in your country. Finally see what they're really making you do to your country.
I have never been more nihilistic in my entire life, but I am to the point where I will sit on a hill roasting marshmallows as I watch the world burn. Because fire destroys so that new prosperous growth can happen. And I will burn to death on that hill too, because I do not believe there is anything at this point that will bring this country together and start seeing everyone's perspective, seeing it and coming to a common ground so that we are not burying ourselves in fascism. That's it.
I hope every single one of you gets arrested and thrown under the jail, regardless of your age, regardless of your race, class, religion, reason for joining. Every single one of you, no excuses, thrown under the jail. I even want your identities revealed. I want everyone to know who you are. Every single one of you. Good night.
I don't know what to do because I got told by an older black woman that I care too much about other people. I'm going to school to be a teacher. Why wouldn't I care about other people? And I'm just curious, are we great yet? Are we great yet? Are we a great country? Is this one? Is great? Is America great where ICE agents are shooting citizens in the street and the government's saying it's self-defense? Are we fucking great yet?
If you hate him too, just sit with me. I hate him. I don't like to hate people, but I hate him.
We are already surpassing Hitler, Nazi Germany. Do you not see this? If we have to debate the morality of does a person deserve to be shot in the face by a masked man who just jumped out of his car working for the government? What have we become? Why are we here scrolling instead of getting out to the streets? I'm so serious, and I'm going to keep scrolling because honestly, nobody would join me if I got in the streets, would they?
I have an idea. A No Kings protest, but we have weapons and we use them.
This is America. We were founded on violence. And we have a Second Amendment specifically to protect us from a tyrannical government. And now we have a tyrannical government. So use your Second Amendment. Okay? You and all your friends should be carrying everywhere you go, especially if you are being a legal observer. Carry. Know how to use it. And be prepared to use it when they start getting aggressive. Use it.
If you guys feel insane trying to work today, I just want to say, me too.
Now you're probably noticing a common theme in these videos. The first one being copious amounts of visible mental illness, the kind that left-wing governments are so quick to weaponize against their own people. And that's what makes it so much more disturbing to see elected officials like Tim Walz do exactly that, when he has a duty of care to look out for these people. But instead, he chooses to rile them up with propaganda speeches like this.
All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are being unjustly and unlawfully targeted. They're distributing care packages and walking kids to school and raising their voices in peaceful protest, even though doing so has made many of our fellow Minnesotans targets for violent retribution. Folks, I know it's scary, And I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
Now, before you all so quickly rise to answer his desperate call to arms there, do you not take a moment to really sit back and ask yourselves, what is it he truly wants from me? How does this benefit a man who lives behind a walled-in mansion with private security and millions of dollars to do whatever he wants? Does he really care about me and my community? Or is there something else he's trying to cover up here? Something else he needs my help protecting? Do you not take a moment to sit back and ask yourselves if it's really just a coincidence that all this is taking place in the wake of a massive fraud scandal in which hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in fraud have been traced back to organized crime syndicates centered in your area that it would be in his best interest to cover up? Or maybe it would be in Ilhan Omar's best interest to bring the headlines onto you instead of onto her and her magical ability to turn a net worth of negative $60,000 into over $30 million in less than a year. Now, all you people in Minnesota might not be aware of this, but ICE is in fact present and active in other parts of your country. But why are we not seeing similar scenes like in Minnesota in those parts of the country? Oh, hang on a second. We are starting to see scenes like that in LA, and why do you think that might be?
Ghost patients, sham companies, offshore owners, corrupt doctors here in LA scamming billions for patients that don't exist and care they never provide. Now, many seniors don't even know they've been enrolled until they need real medical care but can't get it because the hospice controls their Medicare number.
They're human traffickers. They're trafficking beneficiaries.
Hospice fraud in LA.
Hospice is crazy here. You've got hospice that's grown 7-fold in the last 5 years. They represent about $3.5 billion of fraud, we believe, just in LA County.
We are ground zero for the scammers.
Sheila Clark says hundreds of LA hospices falsely bill the government for unnecessary care, often cycling patients from one provider to another.
Is anyone starting to pick up on a pattern here? And these corrupt politicians are completely content allowing the mentally ill people of their society to run around using words like Nazi and fascist and putting other people's lives in danger as a result, despite the current leadership having deported exponentially less than Barack Obama, the deporter-in-chief, while being completely oblivious to a different corrupt ideology they're channeling through themselves. So what better way is there of showing these liberals what true victimhood looks like, other than showing them a true victim who has some words for them about what they've become?
We're joined now by Xi Van Fleet, survivor of Mao's Cultural Revolution and author of Made in America, and Peter Schweizer, author of the fabulous new book, The Invisible Coup. Xi, let's start with you. The signage at that New York rally that was in solidarity with Minnesota about a week ago actually had Lenin and Mao on the main banner. Does this surprise you?
Not at all. I saw that, and in every protest, so-called protest, since BMM, and in 2020, we always find communist flag and banners among the protesters. This is a communist revolution. I say that we had Marxist cultural revolution in this country for a long time, but this time in Minneapolis, it is communist insurrection.
Well, Peter, you wrote a whole book about how China is infiltrating the United States, a silent coup, and this has Chinese fingerprints all over it, in my view. And it's not like you're going to have a direct line to the CCP, but given what you've witnessed and the revolutionary goals on the websites of some of these organizations, what's your sense?
Yeah, there's no question there's an international component to it, and China's involved. There's an organization linked to the CCP in China called the Center for the Study of Marxist Parties in Foreign Countries. And what they do is they track these political activities, and they've been running articles, analyses on their website in China, which is restricted, talking about color revolutions in the United States and how it might happen. They cover groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They cover groups like the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, both who are neck deep in this action in Minneapolis and involved in many other protests. The Freedom Road Socialist Organization has pledged its allegiance to the CCP. They have fraternal party ties, which means they're very close. And the political director of that party, Mick Kelly, lives in Minneapolis. He's been investigated in the past by the FBI for possible involvement for direct terrorism. He was never charged. But these are radical groups. Same thing with PSL, sympathetic, tied to China. Its members have flown to China. So this is part of something that China directly encourages, wants to see happening, and they are monitoring the situation in the United States as it relates to all kinds of social unrest like this.
And what he's just mentioned there is another perfect example of how they're brainwashing you, how they're taking advantage of you and the mentally ill people of Minnesota. To divide and conquer is one of the oldest war tactics of all time, and foreign adversaries absolutely have an interest in doing that to the people of America, whether they do that through bots, ads, social media campaigns, or propaganda, you name it. As long as they're getting you to cause the chaos they want you to cause, then you're helping them win. You're not helping your cause. But this lady here has lived through a real tyrannical government, and what she sees in you are the signs of that tyrannical government. She doesn't see that in the other side. She sees it in the left.
When you look at the different groups that are kind of supporting what's going on with these anti-ICE protests, that is textbook, is it not? To make this seem like this is much more widespread than it is. And you see the useful idiots in the entertainment industry jumping right in.
Absolutely. They want to make it look like organic. Yeah, in a way it is, because they have control over our educational system for so long that they have an army of useful idiots, like those you showed earlier. And this time it's a little bit different. This time, I think what we see in the Minneapolis is almost like a CCP's death squad. Those people like Alex Pretty, I think they are ready to give their life, put their body on the line and give their life for the cause. And of course, for the Democratic Party, they want to see more of them. They make martyrs of them. That's exactly what the CCP did during their revolution to take over China, and later Mao's Cultural Revolution to take over the CCP for himself to get his absolute power.
So are you really arrogant enough to sit there and tell a survivor of Mao's communist China that she is wrong and you are right about who is or is not a tyrannical government? Are you really prepared to do that?
But Peter, what the creative types, apparently they don't know their history. Because what happened to the artists and the writers and the poets and the thinkers in the Cultural Revolution? What happened to them all?
Yeah, they were all dead pretty quick. And look, there's a lot of bizarre allegiances and alliances that are being formed here. You have the so-called Red-Green Alliance, where progressives are teaming up with Islamists. In my book, Laura, I quote Islamists as saying, look, this is a marriage of convenience. As soon as we've won, we're going to get rid of these guys. So, they need to be aware of the full extent of what's going on. These are revolutionaries. These are killers. And they are going to do what they need to seize power. That is what they say in their own words.
And Xi, when you hear their activists talk about, well, this is all nonviolent, and they use the language of nonviolent resistance, making it all seem like they're all Martin Luther King. I mean, it's all just, they're sitting in on the back of the bus and that's it, and they're just folding their hands. But that's just a cover, is it not?
Yes, this is always they call it non-violence, and they always put themselves on the higher moral ground. And they call this, save our democracy. And they call the illegals our neighbors. And they make it look like that the Americans should be on their side. But that's exactly what the communists do, to collect their useful idiots. Like Peter said already, I witnessed how those useful idiots were punished later. The peasants that joined the CCP's Red Army and fought for the CCP have of them starved to death later. And the Red Guards, fought for Mao, were sent to the gulags after their usefulness is no more. And this is a message I really desperately want to teach the left. Don't be an idiot. Don't be a useful idiot.
And my final point in my message to the left is that if you're sat at home wondering why you feel so angry, so sad, so distraught, and desperate with the situation you're surrounded by, are you really pointing the finger at the right person? Or should you be taking a good hard look around at the people you surround yourself with and the echo chamber you live in, and ask yourself, is it really doing you any favors? Are you really helping your neighbors? Or are you just creating an all-around negative situation for you and your city to live in? I used to be just like you. I used to surround myself with people just like you, grew up in an environment just like yours. But there was nothing more liberating than the day I finally realized it was all a bunch of nonsense that is not ever going to work. Because that day, I could finally look forward to helping put the pieces together to bringing society back to something that functions. For as long as this behavior continues, society is never going to function peacefully. And it's not anybody else's fault. It's your fault. It's time for people to wake up. Thank you so much to everybody who watched, and thank you even more to my subscribers. It means everything to me. Is there somebody in your life you think needs to see this video? Please don't hesitate to send it to them. This is why I make these things, and I'll see you all in the next one.